You're gonna become a star today. You're gonna assault me again? You're gonna assault me again? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Fire hazard. Mm-hmm. You're hitting me.
And please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to give you my phone number and
For the table. Excuse me.
so you call me. And if there's anything that we can do, one of the other things is we're very concerned.
Where you putting
when I came
hands on
here,
me?
you have
You're gonna go over there.
That is a staff-only table.
Get over there.
To get
Okay, you're
around,
putting your
and
hands
I
on it.
want to make sure there's
Do not cross that
mobility
line.
for people who have
Here we go again.
disabilities and special needs. We want to make sure that they.
I'm a former veteran officer, Jonathan Ross, with Gulfport Police Department, and recently resigned from my position from continual
Use the microphone.
and undue stress relating to my injury. Since we have settled my federal lawsuit, I felt I'd never have to address any additional concerns to you or the public, but I was once again left without a choice. On March 31st, 2022, I submitted a public records request to our records department indicating I needed a letter from the United States Coast Guard stating how many Marine hours I occurred during my tenure for future employment as a boat captain. I offered to pay for these services as any citizen would need to pay if such request is made. Within a short period of time, your police chief, Robert Vinson, responded via email advising under Chapter 119 it does not require records be created and only supplied me with 2021-2022 Marine logs. He further commented in his email he had no intentions of writing a letter as I requested. I never asked for his assistance in this matter, but he chose to intervene nonetheless. What Chief Vincent fails to understand is that I am no ordinary citizen, as I know what documents are actually available. Chief Vincent directly lied to me in his email and insinuated I wanted him to create documents that did not exist. Prior to my resignation, copies were made of the Marine logs, which date back to my hire date. Chief Vincent would lead you and the citizens to believe that he forgot about those hard copies. However, don't let him fool you. For the past 8 years of my employment, he has sent the city manager a report on a weekly basis, which has indicated how many Marine hours have been conducted. He clearly is making this a personal attack towards me and appears to abuse his power without any checks or balances. How many other citizens have placed public records requests for which he has intervened and either altered or denied the request to the
I'm
information?
going to stop you. I'm not going to take your time from you. Don't disrupt the meeting, folks. You can have a seat. You can be peaceful. Stick with the decorum. All right? Yeah.
Requested
You know what I'm talking
information because he has no oversight. This needs to be stopped and only can happen with your assistance. I ask you, the council and mayor, intercede and have a records clerk or my former Marine sergeant provide me with what I have requested. Again, I do not have any issues with paying for this documentation. However, if they are not received, this directly affects my future employment and earnings, which will require me to seek legal counsel once more. I do not wish this, but I will not tolerate my future being sabotaged by an unprofessional organization such as this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, I passed you up.
Mayor and Council, thanks for taking this here. I want to remain anonymous and do a public records request with you at this time.
You have to do a public records request with the
It can
city
be taken
clerk.
by any member of the city here, and it can be forwarded to them. The records request I'd like to get is an axonevidence.com deletion log. And what that is, just to explain it to you, is that it shows a trail of any videos that have been deleted in the police department system. And if you want, I will give you the case number for the evidence.com, which is going to be GP1822 859. So I'd like to have the evidence.com audit trail that shows any deletion of files pertaining to that case in evidence.com. Normally, excuse me, normally what we can do to find a lot of corruption and theft is pull credit card records and things like that from departments. But from what I'm hearing and I'm learning about is that a man was charged with a felony. The video corroborates a totally different story, and that it was deleted at some point in time, even though it probably is outside or inside of that retention period because it was a felony. Maybe need to be 5 years based off of an appeal, and from what I'm learning is that it was deleted because it shows allegedly some actions from either the chief of police or something like that that shows total opposite of what was written in the report. So I'd like to see if when that was deleted, who deleted it, and that was that. So that could be forwarded on to your clerk, and that's all my time.
Here she is right here.
Will you be contacting me, or?
I'll give you an email. I'll send you an email tonight. Yeah.
Good evening. I would just like to be identified as a concerned citizen. I have some problems with things that have happened here in Gulfport that I've witnessed over the last 2 years. You've heard some of the issues addressed here. My problem is that with this police department having 2 members on the CLIA board, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a certification board for law enforcement agencies around the state. Chief Vincent and Josh Stone, Commander Josh Stone, are both on that board. And what we've done, not just in this state but around the country, is test agencies, law enforcement agencies, for their transparency, asking them for police complaint forms in their lobbies so they're readily available for somebody who has suffered a civil rights injustice, not having to confront another police officer, just making it readily available for people there. That's something that we've done in South Florida, all over Florida, in other states, and everyone has fallen in line and complied with that, except here. There is no formal complaint process that you can go through. You have to go through the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. When I first got here about a year ago, I asked Commander Stone for that complaint form, and he advised me that it's confidential. It would be if it was filled out with me and my attorney in our complaint. That's when it becomes confidential, when it's under investigation. But a blank form, that's just an obstacle that they were putting in front of us to stop transparency. And I think it's hypocritical for those 2 officers to go around and other agencies who have complied with this easy process and not have it here in their own department. Perhaps you, as a commission, can correct that bad behavior. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Coy?
Makes sense?
It's not true, but sure.
Yeah.
So it's been 3 years in a sense since we've been complaining about racial discrimination. I've gone through your records and your videos. Apparently this has been a discussion since prior. Not one of you have done anything whatsoever to send in resolving any issues. Not one of you have ever sat down and have a conversation with anyone. Instead, you continue to keep using your resources to retaliate against people. I was just in doing an audit last week, in February, and your chief of police assaulted me in the middle of this council meeting. But then now you got the city attorney writing fictitious letters stating that I was told multiple times not to be in that area. That's not true. The only time I was told not to be in that area is when I recorded in his tablet, which it's protected under my First Amendment rights. If he does not want it's in his tablet or any other devices he owns and recorded, then just don't bring it into a public area. Go outside, do whatever you need to do, come back in, and be done with it. But for him to have placed his hands on me and then went ahead and policed himself after, then utilizing, again, more resources in a sense to avoid being incriminated on cameras, telling his officers to turn off the cameras, consistently muting stuff, reaching out to the communication dispatch center and telling them not to take any offense report, threatening his officers, by the way, and telling them they took an offense report and that they would have something coming to them. I still to this day have not been able to file charges. And city attorney said, I would love to know where it is documented. What video did you watch where he explained or told me several times,
it's part of the rules
stop
of
interrupting
decorum.
me.
Address the
I
board.
would like to know where exactly this was
Mr. Lee,
the
I'm
video
gonna
or
give you
whatever
time, but
evidence.
if you don't
Again,
follow
stop
the
interrupting
rules,
me.
You're gonna
Stop
you're gonna be
interrupting me.
closed down.
You do that every time it is since someone speaks.
Calm yourself down.
No, I don't
Let
need to
you
calm
finish.
myself down. It's 3 years and it's worth of bullying. I'm tired of it. Restore our rights. Stop violating them and stop covering up shit and that's happened in this town.
Well, there you go. Now you
Okay, and that's
busted
not against
everybody again.
FCC regulations. Look it up. It's not.
Thanks, Mr. Lee. A pleasure as always. Yes, Ms. Tapella.
I'm not being asked to leave. I still want to stay for my council meeting. The word shit is not against FCC regulations.
I think you're being asked to leave.
Please don't put your hands on me.
Then leave.
Don't put your hands on me.
Get that bill.
I'm Lisa Pella, I live in Gulfport. I wanted to comment on the community conversations lady. For those with long memories in the past.
Well, I guess the show's over. Everybody left. Okay. Yes, sir.
Wow, this is exciting.
Not everybody, I'm still here.
How you doing?
I'm living the dream. All right. I'm probably going to be real short. My name is TheArmedFisherman on YouTube. My name is Mike, too. Most people know me as TheArmedFisherman. But I've visited your town. I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of people, and it's so weird for me because I came here and I was carrying an AR-15 in your town. I've been here twice. And it's extremely weird to hear these stories. And they came out to me, and they barely said anything to me. But to hear his story and others, it just doesn't. It's like if there's a problem and there's people are talking about that one problem, maybe we need to start looking at that one problem. I haven't had that issue, but I've been told about numerous issues with this chief and the commander. So I mean, for the most part, I think they need to go back to understanding what their oath and what they're supposed to do. They came out and treated me halfway with respect. They didn't even come out and talk to me, but to hear all these stories of other people just being disrespected, the man can't even get his records request. I mean, that in itself is against the law, the Sunshine Law. So I really think we might need to start looking at why are we all talking about these 1-2 people? Maybe we need to start paying attention to what they're doing. Maybe we need to say, hey, that body cam goes on, it stays on. It doesn't get muted. Because a lot of times I get the same thing. And then they go in their little powwow and they hit their little mic button, and for 30 to 40 seconds, they're sitting there trying to conspire. And that's what a lot of that little mute button, they shouldn't be doing that. They're doing it because they're literally colluding and they're trying to find something, or they just don't want you to know what they're saying. Let us know. Be transparent. I'm extremely transparent on my channel. I show good, I show bad, I show ugly, however it comes at me. For the most part, this town has come out pretty decent to me. But to hear all these stories, it just doesn't make sense. But that's all I got. I had to throw my 2 cents in.
Well, thanks. I appreciated the way you just came and said it the way you did.
I try. You watch my channel, I always start out good. It's how you come at me.
Yes.
You come at me bad, I come at you bad.
I just want to say one thing before we wrap up regarding public comment. Anyone is welcome to come and say what they feel. There are some rules in terms of language. We have rules that we'll be discussing tonight in terms of decorum, but to come up and speak and make accusations and continually not provide any evidence or basis in fact of those accusations it's one thing for us as elected officials to take that. The rules are actually different, so you can pretty much come and say all kinds of rough stuff to us. But when it comes to city staff, like our city attorney, our city manager, our city clerk, our department heads, the rest of staff, that's when you get into the waters where you're talking about slander and defamation, which is why when someone comes to make these things, I prefer to see evidence to what they're talking about. And I don't think that's unfair to have your accusations backed by evidence. And, it's a nature of a police department to have people upset with you. A lot of times when the police come, they're not there to tell you you're doing a great job. So, but I will say that the reason that Chief Vincent and Commander Stone are part of that organization with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is because of the number of times that our police department here has made the Excelsior accreditation. How many years in a row now?
The first one was in 2000.
Okay. Been multiple times received that from that board. So anytime that we're going to follow the letter of the law, from our city clerk to our chief of police to us. And that's part of why Mr. Salzman sits here. So as you can see from what we saw earlier tonight, When you get a lot of people coming in with cameras and to me not wanting to use their names, that tells me that somebody wants to put on a show, that somebody's looking for something. And I want to encourage everybody here to take part in public comment. And Ms. Ring's right. I'm only human. Sometimes I might get a little attitude.
More rhetoric in anything you would like to spew? Come on, you got Gulfport's attention. Okay, screw me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
You reap
How's
what
the
you
bullying? Do I? Or is that a threat?
sow. You reap what you
Is
sow.
that a threat?
No.
Oh, okay. So what exactly am I reaping?
Being an asshole makes
Oh,
you
okay.
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 And I shouldn't. I should need to be more of a professional than that. But sometimes it gets to you when you hear people bad-mouthing folks that you know to be good people. And I do know a lot of these folks to be good people for my 13 years of service. So I'll try to do better at that. It's one of the things I work on. But I just want to thank those of you who make a public comment, even when you're dissatisfied, like the young man who's sitting here in the front, and still get your point across and say what you have to say, but do it in a manner that's not aggressive, that's not humiliating to any particular person, because that's what public comment is supposed to be about. Not for attacks, not for glamour, not to put on a show. This is how we try to govern our little city here. So I just want to thank all of you who do a good job of that every meeting, even when you're dissatisfied.